So apologies in advance for any strange audio. I've got a furry house guest crashing on my sofa this week, and he snores, so that might show up in the video. Okay, so real quick to get some out of the way, I'm working on just a small gift tag. This time of year, of course, coming up on Christmas, I'll get little projects that I make on my own to give as gifts, and gift tags are one of them. I'll put it on a gift, cards, decorations. It gives me an opportunity to play with some of the types of leather carving that I don't always get to do. And in this case, it's going to be something that's out of pictorial carving. There's a great reference for it. That's Al Stolman's book, Pictorial Carving Finesse. I'll see if I can find a link to that and its companion, the Figure Carving Finesse book, to put in the description. But in this case, I want to carve, a Christmas tree on something. So I've got this little tag, and I've got a bunch of different figure carving tools that I pulled up out of the basement because I normally don't use, like I said, figure carving tools very much, and pictorial carving. And we're going to go ahead and, just because it's more fun this way, we'll kind of do a little bit of a freehand sort of Christmas tree on this tag. So I'm going to start with the base of it. We want a little trunk, Christmas tree skirt around the bottom of the tree. So we're going to add some depth to that Christmas tree skirt a little bit. With a pear shader. And now for the tree itself, I'm going to use two figure carving tools, if I can get the camera to focus on. These are the F912. There's a left and a right. And you got to have both. You got to have the left and right. One does the left part of the tree, the other does the right part of the tree. But anyway, this is the left one. And we're going to start way up here with it. And we're going to do just a little bit like that. And then we want this tool to have the curve side. If you look, it's got a curve to it. We want the curve down towards the base of the tree. And we're going to slightly change our angle and work our way in. But we want kind of that middle point of the tree. And we're going to do sort of everything on that side of it. With these sort of overlapping, I do them kind of random. And work our way out a little bit more there. We don't want it perfectly symmetrical. I mean, it could be that representation of the absolute perfect Christmas tree that everybody's always looking for. But once we have one half of the tree, then we switch to the other tool, the right tool, and we'll do the other half of the tree. Put a top on it, and remember we want it to curve, the curve to be down. Just tilt it that way. This one's sticking a bit. Well, let's grab our carving weight here. Now we got a pretty messy looking little tree here. Not what I would call a good example just yet. But then there's another tool, and I've used it before for like a scale pattern. Let's see if I can get it to focus again. Maybe? No? Okay. So it's called a 927. F927. And it's basically, it's like half a pear shader with cuts, file cuts in it. And it's going to mat the area outside and kind of clean up our edges a little bit. And we're just going to go down the sides of the tree with that and sort of mash in some of our impressions we just made. And give us the edge of the tree that we're looking for. And we just use the same tool up both sides. That's starting to look a little bit more like a tree. And it's a little bit of beveling down here around our base and the trunk of the tree. And I'm actually beveling the tree, but it's not a cut line. I'm just kind of staying around those impressions that I just made. Gives a softer appearance than the hard line of a cut would. Round out the trunk a little bit with a modeling tool. Use the small spoon on the modeling tool to add some texture to it, because, you know, tree trunks aren't perfectly smooth. And it'll also be a good time to mess with those gifts a little bit that I kind of threw in there. Now, next I've got a matting tool here. And that's just going to be used around the edges of everything, basically, to make it stand up a bit more from the background. You can use a smooth matting tool. I'm using a textured one. If you're doing a winter scene with a tree like this, these textured tools can also be used to make a snow on the ground type of snow pattern, and other weather conditions like clouds. These matting tools are useful for. Alright, now let's go ahead and add a little bit of decoration on that tree, because it's just a tree right now. It could be out in the forest. Let's make it into a Christmas tree. Let's put a star on top of it. That's always important. Let's have a star on top. And I just have a little star stamp here. What's the number on that? A Z610? Z610 it looks like. Put a star on. And let's grab some cedars, which are just round, smooth cedars. And put a few decorations on there too. These smooth cedars on thin leather like this, you gotta be careful not to cut through, punch a hole with them. Let's throw another one there. One in here somewhere. And I've got a smaller cedar, which again, have to be really careful with. And we will just add some little dots for other decorations. You can paint those as if they're lights if you want. And we got our little Christmas tree. Color it up, finish it, make it into a gift tag. For coloring, you can use combinations of dyes, acrylic paints, markers even, paint pens, whatever you happen to like to use. Now with painting techniques, you can get as complicated as you want. Basically anything you can do on other materials like canvas or something, you can do on leather. But I don't want to get that complicated with this. So I'm going to keep things fairly easy. On the trunk, I'm just going to use a brown Sharpie marker. You can use dyes, you can use paints. Like I said, I'm not making it that complicated on this one. Sharpie markers tend to leave that texture that I pushed in there, not colored as much, almost like block dyeing, and that can add a neat effect to it too. Now, let's color some decorations. It's probably best that if I would go over with a finish first before I did this, but again, not making it that complicated. And these little tiny spots can be really tricky. Finding a brush small enough to get in there. So a lot of times I'll just find something with a point, like a toothpick. You only put a little bit of paint on the very tip of it. You might get a little bit around the edges. I've used a needle for this before too. Wipe off the excess. Let's use a wash to do a halo effect around that star. I did a little yellow spot in it, kind of like that. Let's take some water on the brush, spread it out a little bit, just to give it a tint or yellow. Get some yellow and white on our brush. Wash most of it off. A bit too much washed off. I'll have a gift tag, and on the other side I'm going to line it with another piece of leather and stitch it down to that. But you can leave a window in that the cards can slide in, and you can change it out if you needed to. I usually just write on the back whoever it's for, and then they can keep it and use it as an ornament on their tree. Whatever. Again, mostly it was just all about getting a chance to carve a little Christmas tree. So all the usual stitching, finishing, burnishing edges, all that happens. And then last step is really just to put a piece of lace in here that we can tie it onto something. Got a piece of waxed up lace. It's a little long, but you can always make them shorter. Making them longer is a lot trickier. We're just going to put both ends at the same time through that. So we got a loop there. And tuck both ends through that loop. And make ourselves a little lark's head knot there. And then we got two pieces hanging off that we can tie onto whatever gift or whatever we want. Or like I said, it'd just be used as an ornament. If you use it as a gift tag, like I said, a lot of times I'll just write on the back or put a tag on the back. Sometimes I've even carved and stamped permanently in the back of it who it was. And then again, it can be an ornament on somebody's tree for years after that.